YouTube, what's going on? Welcome to Members Only. Hit that like button through the door because you already know this is going to be a good one. Now, before we get the week over, we're going to discuss a little thing about OG Turtle. Now, if you don't know who OG Turtle is, or was, he was a gangbanger. Now, you might think to yourself, okay, he's a gangbanger. His story ends just like all the others, but that's not the case. Now, when you read about OG Turtle or see any clips, about 90% of you might look at him as a likable guy. You may look at him as a good leader, and you may say to yourself, he might be cool to be around. But unfortunately, some guys didn't even think that way back in the day. And yes, hate could play a major role into it. But what it really was is that the gangbanging culture wasn't ready to evolve. And of course, nothing is great about gangbanging, but it didn't get any better jumping from the 80s into the 90s. Kenneth Johnson was at a pace that was going to take the culture to a whole nother level. First, he was from the South, so he really didn't understand what was going on when he first moved to Compton. Really, the only reason he began gangbanging is because the neighborhood, school, and friends he was around. You really had to pick a side, but really had no choice if you lived in that neighborhood. He participated in all the dumb, and yes, he put in a lot of work to become one of the leaders of the set. Now, he didn't smoke or drink. He'd rather stay alert. Unlike the others that would get drunk and high out of their mind and ended up banged on before they even noticed. Before they even noticed, it was just too late because they were just, drunk and high. But remember, he was from the South. He didn't think like those guys. But in his mind, he wasn't any better. He continued with gang activity, but after a while, things began to shift. He started doing things his way. He refused to do things the traditional way. First, having the first Mexican Crip around him, and that was Primo Pete. And instead of sitting around like the usual gangsters, but their faces balled up, he was like, come on, we're gonna have some fun. And that's exactly what they did. Like, when did you ever hear gangbangers walking into a room and the room would light up? Instead of the usual darkness of a gangbanger, you had a bunch of killers with smiles on their faces. Other gangsters would see them having fun, and they would be just disgusted. To the average banger, it was cool to hate and it was cool to kill. A lot of people act as what they think a gangster is, like all mean and aggressive with their face balled up, they hate everything. But a real gangster is a gentleman. A real gangster will help that old lady across the street. And that's just that. But Turtle would bring style into gangbanging. He talked slick like a pimp. He showed that you can be fly and still do this gangster. Instead of wrecking on fools, he'd rather be in the hills, taking a bad bitch shopping. He began getting money, and guys from his own hood would start hating, and that's when things would start to go left. He was taking those trips up Beverly Hills, Rodeo Drive, copping jewelry, spending the money the right way. Guys was mad because they were just some broke gangbangers. They were just mad at the world. And as you see in those clips and in those pictures, they set was way heavier than that. They was way stronger than that. In the neighborhood, they had little cliques. Now, if I said that they all got along, I would be lying. You had different factions. Now, a lot of hate was in the air, and a lot of guys would, kiss their teeth and start giving him the lame look. But what really shake things up is when he got his weight up in the dope game. And I didn't care what you was doing back in the day. It was no money coming faster than that dope money. And it was making dudes rich. They were seeing the most money that they ever saw. And once he got a hold of that money, man, you thought you hate him. You really started to hate him. And Santana Block used to pop out, man. People knew when Santana Block was in that building because of his voice. Like, his voice just stuck out like a sore thumb, man. Like, his voice was just different from everyone else. Y'all know that voice I'm talking about, man. But yeah, his voice was just very familiar. Everybody knew his voice. It was like, yo, that voice sounds so familiar. But they knew exactly who he was, man. And that's just how they was rocking, man. It was out and about. Like, he began opening up different crack spots like franchises. At this point, gangbanging wasn't about color. It was about turf and money. Banging over a color was played out to him. And he really valued his life. And, he wanted to live to spend that money, enjoy himself, man. And his business practices just, it just shaped for the good and bad because he started building relationships with bloods. Like, there was a lot of blood sets he would click with, and he was making them a lot of money. He was very, valuable. And, that made guys hate him even more. And he was going out to events, just like I said, popping out with different cars, having fun. And he would pop out with different faces. Like, he would pop out with different people, just, He was building different like business relationships with people all over, and a lot of dudes just started hating, man. But one thing I would like to mention that you never heard anywhere else before this very day is that he had a past in certain neighborhoods you wouldn't even believe. Like he was making people so much money it didn't make any sense. Now that's the reason he had Bloods attend his funeral. And it may be normal now, but back in the 80s, man, that was just unheard of. And that tells you right there just the amount of respect he had, man. I say this in every video. You're either a good earner or a good hitter. Which one you rather be? But he damn sure was a good earner. He was just a businessman, and his ability to sit at a table and just, negotiate or like even squash a beef, he had that much respect, and he could turn a bad situation to a good situation. And a lot of guys don't have that type of ability. How could you solve an issue without picking up a gun? I mean, this guy was just way ahead of his time, and the cause of his death could have came from really any angle. According to FBI files, his death wasn't even linked to any gang activity. And that's probably hard to believe to to someone that's used to this gang life, but I've noticed that only the people that have some type of importance have more than one scenario as the cause of their death. So you could put this guy in the same category as the Jimmy Hoffas, the Frank Matthews. That's just how it is. So you're really gonna get different answers when it comes to his death. It just depends on who you ask. A lot of people like to blame different sets. They say it was different sets from different neighborhoods that clicked up and joined forces and formed alliances just to get him out of here. And then other people will say that his own people set him up and backdoored him. Some people say he was doing business with some dirty cops, some undercover cops, and things went left in Linwood, and he just got killed during a bad transaction. But from the looks of it, many people don't know. And for the people that do know, they might just take it to the grave. Unless we, hear from a Vlad interview in a couple years or so. But as far as that, people's taking that to the grave, man. But I know someone knows the aunt in Compton probably know. But shout out to Compton, shout out to the whole West Side. Let it be known in the comments. R.I.P. OG Turtle, man, he was something different, man. He wasn't the average gangbanger. And he was, switching up. He was switching things up, man. Like the gang culture wasn't ready for the unity he was bringing. They wanted to keep everything divided, segregated, man. But thanks for tuning in to the video tonight. I ain't gonna take up much of y'all time. I appreciate all my subscribers, man. Shout out to the people that was with me from day one. Shout out to the new people. Turn the notifications on so y'all don't miss out. I say the same thing every video. Don't be a stranger. Get these likes up, man. Hit me up in the comments, man. Say what's up. Let me know what y'all think of the video. And every week we just gonna keep the ball rolling. Heat every week, man. I'm out.